Africa is not a poor continent, and indeed, Africa can feed itself. However, for us to achieve sustainable food security, we need to intensify continuous research. We need to put our farmers first and promote farmer-centered research in accordance with the farmers' needs. In Africa, we are grappling with many challenges with regards to research. We need to prioritize our research. We need to improve the linkage between government and civil society, particularly the use of evidence to inform policy processes. We need to promote multi-stakeholder policy dialogue platforms because Africa has an oral culture and we need to talk, share, and devise technologies and methodologies for generating knowledge, sharing it, and using it to inform our development. Most important, we need to find ways of engaging the poor, listening to them, and documenting their needs so that they can be the drivers of change. We are excited today as we engage with one of Africa's luminaries, the Chairman of the African Union, the President of the Republic of Malawi, and the Minister of Agriculture, His Excellency Ngwazi Dr. Bingu wa Mutharika. He shares his vision on the role of research in development. In addition to the SADC secretariats, we also have our national universities, which are underutilized.
Absolutely.
And yet they are state-funded, and it is their core business to assist in development. How do you see the academia aligning to the development agenda?
I see them playing a very important role. In fact, if I had my way, whatever we have a problem, whether it's a problem for locust control or whatever it is, we ought to be able to call the university and say, look, here, we have locusts here. Here's the money. Sit down, logo yourself in a room, and 3 months I want the results. How do you control this? That's the challenge. But some of them will come and say, look, you don't involve us. And maybe it is true, because there is this mutual suspicion.
Yeah.
You know, there's mutual, in fact, the universities, you know, sometimes in some countries, the policymakers will think they are a nuisance, and then the universities think the governments are demagogues, and so we call each other names, and therefore we don't talk.
Yeah.
But I think we can break this, and we ought to be able to talk, because actually, when all is said and done, we are singing the same song, and we all are looking at developing our respective countries. Why don't we merge? And they can be made to merge, and they can be made to be positive. So I think a part of the challenge is to change the mindset. You know, we are now strangers.
Yeah.
But I always believe that a stranger is just a friend you do not know. And once you know them, you become a friend.
We'll take up that challenge and make sure the universities deliver.
So organizations like yours cut across this kind of mechanism, fund plan. And I think we should encourage you to do this. And I think the governments should really assist a network like yours to come up, because then we are beginning to think as an entity other than as individual countries or even individuals.
But Your Excellency said part of the challenge we face is that we collect a lot of information but fail to process it because we keep it within one unit. If you look at other developed countries, you're looking at think tanks that are working in partnership with government. But in our region, there's a tendency for non-governmental organizations to work against government rather than to complement.
Absolutely.
How, under your leadership, can you close that gap of bringing civil society and government to work for a common cause?
Yes, in fact, you see, the first thing is to convince the civil society, so-called civil society, that they're part of the system. They are not outside it. And sometimes they tend to remove themselves away and become observers. You're not, they're participants. So if something goes wrong, they must share the wrong. If something goes right, they must share the right. And all that. So that is, but some of the NGOs are not established to assist development at all. They're established for other purposes, maybe for political purposes, or for simply attacking the government. We are not saying that they should support the government, no. But where a project is okay, let them say so. So We can, and I think we will establish a database. The African Union has 8 regional economic communities,
Yes.
which are intended to be the building block for the African Union. Okay, we will insist that these databases are there.
Yes.
The information is there, the secretariats are there. SADC can actually and should, invite all the other African countries to give us the data on production of all these things, and then we simply synchronize and standardize, and we have a SADC database, and that can be done in a very short period because it is there.
So what we failed to do is to extend the social capital network of our African tradition.
Right.
And we've embraced commercialization, which we do
Right.
not understand.
Exactly.
And now we have
Exactly.
this web of problems we cannot solve.
Exactly. And I can tell you that the African tradition is the most effective, most beautiful tradition we had. But someone came and said it's primitive.
But Your
I mean,
Excellency,
if everybody else is able to eat, how do you call it primitive?
but Your Excellency, one of the problems lies with us. We are not documenting, we are not sharing, we are not telling our own African story. And indeed, you've highlighted the need for databases. Who is going to develop those databases if we are not investing in research?
Well, we are, at least during this time when I'm chairman, I'm going to push this. We have to, the information is there, by the way. It's simply a matter of putting it together somewhere. And we have to find an agency, for instance, within SADC. And I want us to start with SADC, because then we can convince others. I mean, SADC is the region that I know better. I want us to start to say, can't we have this database? And we can, because it is there. Malawi has all the information we need. Zimbabwe has only Zambia, Mozambique, Tanzania. We have all the information we need. All we want is to simply integrate this. And with the computer network these days,
It is all
it
doable.
can be done in a matter of minutes.